Take a seat, absolutely. So first of all, just listening from backstage, what people have already said this morning are some of the glimpses of wisdom that if you hold on to throughout life are going to help you go to where you need to go to. I thought of the last one whose sister got up and stepped out last night when she was nervous. And people think that rugby players don't get nervous, but I still get nervous at small things. I remember I decided I was dating a very traditional girl from a Hungarian background, and I decided that to ask her out, to start dating her, that I would ask her dad's permission. And we sort of went around for dinner, and it was probably 6 o'clock we turned up, and I'm just starting to get so nervous because I'm like, what if he says no? And so I'm just like, okay, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And it got to sort of 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, start looking at my watch. My girlfriend starts looking across at me, giving me that look. Are you going to do it anytime soon? And I said, about 10 o'clock, I decided I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I went into the bathroom, and I literally was looking in the mirror, going, come on, how hard can it be? Just go out there and say it. How hard is it? And so I walked out and we said goodbye. And I went, would it be okay if I dated Jude? And I was so nervous. He said, well, you don't have to ask me that. What a stupid question. And I think that's that thing of stepping out. You know, we all have to step out. Everyone feels like we have to step in a position of uncomfortability because we don't know what's going to happen next. My 3 take-home points from yesterday, when I look back at it, someone mentioned it this morning, was this attitude of being grateful for what we have. I think that was pretty consistent about what people spoke about. It was about giving back to society, doing unto others as you would want them to do back to you. And sometimes people ask me as a rugby player, and maybe there's boxers or wrestlers or all sorts of physical contact sports here, how do you reconcile that with basically going out to hurt people? And I think Brad Thorne answered that best because he said it's better to give than to receive. So I take that if you're in a physical sport, go out there and do your best. My second point from yesterday, and everything in me as an Aussie male wants to diminish this and wants to mock it, but I really wanted to speak about Sam and Tom from yesterday because when Sam spoke and said, listen, I really just want to acknowledge what my mate's done, what a sense of something so against culture where we want to bring people down. That in essence, he honoured him, he respected him, he showed him what his worth was like. Are your friends like that? Do you have friends around you that can do that for you, that can see your worth and speak that to you in times of trouble? And the third take-home point, which I think everyone here would agree, is that if you're ever needing to go to the loo in town, you have now found the spot. Downstairs, the best facilities I've ever seen. Feel free to honour those facilities whenever you want, whenever you're in town. Thanks to Glass House. Now, yeah, that's a bit dodgy. Okay, righto. Challenging perspectives. So we're going to look at some things, a few different things today of where I probably made some mistakes, where I thought thinking a certain way was the right way to go, and then in hindsight, looking back, perhaps it wasn't. And I'm just going to throw them out as ideas, and you guys can take what you want and dismiss what you want as well. A lot of people ask about the haka, what it's like to face the haka. Were you scared to face the haka? Does anyone know what the haka is? Does anyone not know what the haka is? You don't know what it is? Oh, sorry, yeah, okay. That's good, I got that settled. And it can be really intimidating. And people say, were you scared when you faced the haka? And as a player, it feels like it's intimidating you. It feels like it's calling you out. It feels like before a game it's asking, do you have what it takes? And so for me, when I got picked to play against New Zealand, the first thing I did was to go in front of a mirror and practice the faces that I would do if I was responding to the haka. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and give your best responding to a haka face. Go. And back. Okay, that's exactly my response when I looked in the mirror. I thought, you're an idiot, you look like a fool. But what I want to do quickly is I actually want to have a haka responding contest. So get in any groups of 3 that want to come out, or individuals. It's for a box of, I didn't know what to bring, so I brought some favourites. 1, yes, come out. Yes, 2. You want to come together? Yep, that you come, yep. We've got an individual, we've got a group of 2. Oh, sorry, yes, come up. Did you want to bring anyone with you? You want to nominate, don't you? Okay, I'm going to put this here. This is up for the prize. Okay, you guys are going to be the voters today. Oh, not yet, not yet. We'll vote at the end. Do you guys want to come up? Yeah, okay, that's good. 4 groups, perfect. Okay. Now, are you going to go together or? We can go together. Why do you go together? Okay, that's 3 groups, perfect. Go in the middle. Teams of 2. Okay, which order do you want to go from? This side to that side, or that side to this side? There's always the lateral thinker. We're going to go with the middle because it was the loudest voice, always gets heard. And then we'll decide after that. Okay, so you guys you're not actually doing the haka, but we'll pretend that the haka is happening up here and you guys are responding. Have you consulted each other? Do you know what you're doing? No. Okay, just going to bust a bit of improv. Right, cut it. 1, 2, 3, go. Great minds think alike by the looks of it. Bit of a discussion, turning your back. And rightio, hold that one, thank you. That's good. Okay, girls. Okay, the haka's happening. 3, 2, 1, go. I like it. You girls got something? Doesn't matter, whatever. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, some attitude. Okay. Let's go from this side. Let's vote. These guys. Okay, that's reasonable. The boys. So far in front. And for the girls. Not quite sure. Let's go the boys again. The girls. I think it's the boys. Okay, quickly, what were you trying to harness then, apart from Oprah Winfrey?
Sort of that we weren't intimidated.
You weren't intimidated?
Like showing, just because you can show your confidence, we're going to show our bravery as well.
Ooh.
We can do just as much as you can.
Ooh, I like it. I'm going to tell the Wallabies about this. What was your attitude? Smiling. You're none fussed. Yeah, whatever, boys. Go about your business. And girls, what do you think?
Confused and bored.
Confused and bored. Okay, I did play against the All Blacks a few times, and if you looked confused or bored, or you turned your backs, or you gave a bit of attitude, they would try and remove your ears with their studs on the bottom of their boots. But that's okay, sure, go for it. What if, though, a mate of mine left his place of work with a lot of Pacific Island boys, and what they did when he left was that they did a haka to honour him. So instead of calling him out and intimidating him and saying, do you have what it takes, it said, I'm going to honour you in this. How would you respond if someone was honouring you, adding weight and showing respect to you? How would you respond? Give them a handshake. What would you boys do? Respect? Respect, yep. Not smile as widely, yep. Hug them. Okay, we have some new tactics for the Wallabies. Thanks very much, everyone. Boys, there are your chocolates. Congratulations. Feel free to share them. Just give them a round of applause. So what if life wasn't actually calling you out for being small? What if life wasn't saying that you're a joke? What if life wasn't saying you're not enough? Or what if life was saying those things for you to grow into being who you need to be? We used to have a coach called Eddie Jones, who's now the England coach, and he would poke your weakness, your insecurity, until one, you either broke, or two, you took on the challenge and you grew so that was no longer a weakness. And for me, that's a little bit about what life is. It keeps poking at the things that we hate, the things that we're not good at, our vulnerabilities. And we can either treat it like we're a victim and life gets on top of us, or we can respond to the challenge and take responsibility. And I think what was spoken about yesterday is giving you guys some tactics, some strategies, some mindsets to go forward and walk through these challenges, walk through heartbreak. Because what tends to happen is we get rejected and then we see that we're a reject. We fail and we see ourselves as a failure. Okay, this is some photos. Try and keep your head straight. It's to try and, I know you want to turn here. Try and keep your head straight. It's to try and nominate as quickly as possible. Put your hands up when you see who it is. These two actor-singers. And again, don't turn your heads. Put your hands up when you know. Does anyone notice anything unusual about them? So when I look back on some of my perspectives in life and I turn them upside down, they're ugly. They're wrong. And so I'm going to throw out some things that happened in my life, and I'm going to try and be as vulnerable as I can to try and give you guys some strength in hard times. And I think of the quote of, people standing on the shoulders of ancients, and that's who we are. We're ancients, and we're trying to say to you guys, here's some stuff we did wrong. Please listen. So try and take on some things that speak to you, and things that don't speak to you, just flick. But I'm hoping that there'll just be a couple of things that you want to bank today, that you want to hold on to. I'm missing a line, but that's okay. Using heartbreak and failure to mould us into brilliance for others' benefit. Is there a dream so big that you don't want to say it aloud? Is there a dream that is so big that if you told your mates, like Tom said yesterday, that they would laugh at you? Do you have a dream inside you that you sometimes don't want to even think about because it's so big, it's so scary? And often we go, nah, there's nothing there. Straight away we want to shut down because it's a place of vulnerability to think about that. It's a scary place to go to think, hey, me, little old me, wants to go on and achieve these big things in life. So Vincent van Gogh, or Gough, whatever you want to say, he was 27 years of age. He said, I'm good for something. My existence is not without reason. How can I be of service? There is something inside of me, but what can it be? So what is life trying to draw out of you? What skills, what experience, what talents is life trying to draw out of you? And we always just look at the good things that happen in life, but sometimes it can be the negative things that happen as well. As far as perspectives concerned, I remember a big one for me, and it's on gratitude and being grateful. I remember walking across this gravel yard, and it wasn't far from Munich in Germany. I was with some friends of mine, a couple, and it had been the worst trip. We'd had a falling out, and so we'd gone into this place and we'd gone in our separate directions. And I walked along and I was miserable. It was cold, I was wearing shorts, it was raining. I thought this is going to be the worst day ever. And then I positioned myself. I came back to reality And the place I was walking was Dachau concentration camp. And I positioned myself in that moment, 32,000 documented deaths in that camp during the Second World War. And I positioned myself in a place of reality of this is small. This is small stuff. This is nothing. And it changed my perspective. So think of that during the day. Can I change my perspective in this moment by coming back to reality and not thinking about the small things that are happening to me in life? I'd like to say this is Vincent's early work, but I'm not sure far right whether Tyra Banks was born then. This is my attempt at drawing. I was studying for too long and I just got so rigid in my thinking that I started to draw. And second from the right was almost the end of a relationship. And the last one on the right was the end of my drawing career when my mum said that it looked like Tyra Banks had a kidney. It's actually a man standing like that. So it's funny how small things can stop us from pursuing the things that we're enjoying. I don't show that as, I think that's rubbish, but I show that just to say that, we're not always good at everything, but sometimes things that we're not good at are worth pursuing as well. Perspective and challenge. So we're trying to build a bit of a story of hope today because I'm talking about a lot of negative things, a lot of setbacks, a lot of things that can be taken as harsh, rejection, etc., etc. But we're trying to get a story of hope because throughout these things we need to find how we can have hope through suffering. So I'm going to tell a bit about my story, my falling from grace, and then climbing the stairs of life. So I grew up in country New South Wales. Anyone who reckons they know what sort of kid I was? Anyone hazard a guess? What's that? Troublemaker? Anyone else?
Oh, you're a nerd.
No, I wish I was because as someone said yesterday, nerds become our bosses. Yep. Cheeky? Yep. Cheeky? Yep. Sporty, yes, this is true. That was hair, yep. Almost caught you. I was actually really shy. I was a really, really shy kid. So doing anything like this would have been unheard of for me. I just couldn't imagine standing up here and speaking about my life. I was also born with bent bones from a difficult birth, and I was pigeon-toed. Does anyone know what pigeon-toed is? What's that? Yeah, well, your feet are born like that. So I used to have to wear calipers to straighten my feet when I was younger. And so has anyone seen Forrest Gump? Forrest had a much more impressive set of calipers than my own. His were sort of knee-high, mine were just boots. But does anyone remember that scene where he's running and the calipers fall off? That's what it was like for me playing sport. It was freedom. It wasn't just freedom from the shackles, it was freedom from being shy. It was a chance for me to be someone else, to put on the mask of the tough sportsman. But underneath it, I was the same person. I was insecure, I was shy, I was socially anxious, I think probably people would say now. Then when I was 15, how many people in year 10 here? Hands up, yes. That's a tough year, probably better than year 9 though. As in, year 9's a tough year. And the doctor came out, I'd hurt my back. And he came out to visit me, I'd had some x-rays in Sydney. And he said to me, you have to think now that you may never be able to play sport again. The one thing that you're good at may now be gone. And he said, you need to start thinking about other avenues of life. You need to concentrate on on academics and other things. And I did. While my back was sore, I concentrated on academics and my marks went up. And then as soon as my back got better, my marks went down again. But it was application. It was where I put my effort. And I wish I had have listened. I wrote a letter to my 16-year-old self the other day for a website. And the words that I said were, mate, it's your responsibility. My back now is directly affected by what you do today as your 16-year-old self. So if your 43-year-old self could speak to you today and you have an injury, they would say it's your responsibility. It's not your mum's responsibility to make you do your exercises. It's not your physio's responsibility to make you do your exercises. It's your responsibility. You're now of the age, 15 is now the age where you start to take some more responsibility. People start to give you responsibility in selection of courses and that sort of thing at school. They start to give you more responsibility. Are you wanting to take it and use it appropriately, or you're wanting to abuse it? I think of, for me, how many people have a really harsh inner voice, inner critic? Absolutely. Mine's a shocker. Mine's really harsh. And my sort of things, if I make a mistake, is you're an idiot. You're stupid, you're dumb. And so my challenge of perspective here is, are you on your own team? Can you train your inner voice to be compassionate and enthusiastic? You know those enthusiastic, compassionate friends you have? Maybe like Sam. I remember going to a opening of a shopping centre with a whole lot of sports people, and Rabbits Warren was doing the commentary for the sports days. Anyone know who Rabbits Warren is? Commentates on rugby league. And this is the sort of inner voice that I'm trying to train my inner voice to be. So I did some putting, and golf's not my greatest game, and I just got them all in. I'm like, wow, I'm a legend. And the next one was the driving range on the computer, and I couldn't hit the ball. It was so embarrassing. There were probably 100 or so, or maybe a few hundred people lined up along the cage. And I'm just like, oh, and I'm getting worse and worse. I'm going from missing it by that much to missing it by about this much. And Rabbits Warren in the background just goes, come on, Jimmy, you can hit the ball. Imagine if that was your inner voice. Imagine if you make a mistake. Come on, Jimmy, you can do it. Oh, yeah, how good. Train your inner voice, compassionate, be on your own side. Why would you allow your inner voice to speak to you that you're an idiot, that you're not good enough, that you're dumb? In that moment, challenge the inner voice. It's like, you can change the voices on Siri and those sorts of things. You change the voice. Go to Homer Simpson if you like. Change it to something where you feel encouraged. So I went to Sydney. That transition's tough because you go from being a somebody in Port Macquarie to being a nobody in Sydney. I got dropped after my first game in under-20s in Sydney because no one had heard of me, and the guy that had played poorly inside me was playing out of position. So they said, right, you go down, we've never heard of you, and you can stay there. And the whole season I slogged it out before I got back into first grade. And then I got the award that Jack spoke about yesterday. Does anyone remember what that was? Most improved. When he said that, I couldn't believe it because I'd just written it a few days before. I got most improved, and I remember thinking, no, I'm better than that. That's for losers. But what if you were the most improved? Perspective change. What if you were the most improved every year for the rest of your career? What if you were the most improved for the rest of your life in whatever you do? What if that was your goal? Instead of being the best, what if it was just to improve? To get as far as you can each year, but to know that it's a journey. I sound like I'm on The Voice. Hello. You're looking for... That's beautiful. Could do a duet. I got to professional rugby, and I remember talking to there was a cruel moment in my life. Has anyone feel really ashamed of something that they've done? Oh, I'm feeling you. I felt so ashamed. Now, it wasn't actually something I'd done. It was part of my running style. So there's some clip of me running front on, and I never knew that I did this. But they showed this in front of all the coaches from the ACT, all the players, all the representative players, and a few of the referees. And I come running in this footage like this. And I had never known that I ran like that. I had never, because I'd never seen it from front on. I'd heard people say you run like you're galloping, but I didn't know I ran like an egg beater. And I felt, everyone started laughing at me, and I just felt, oh, wow. And a few years later, I went to a biomechanist, one of the top biomechanists in Australia, and he said, you know that leg flick you've got? That makes you fast over short distances. That makes you quick. It's given you an advantage. What if your so-called weaknesses, perspective change, led you into an advantage? What if it led you into doing things in a new way? I know for a shy kid or an introvert, I guess, I think a lot by myself. So I'm thinking about ideas constantly. I'm thinking about myself and how I've reacted in different ways. And that now gives me an advantage when I'm speaking to people about themselves. Something I hated for most of my life, I realise now is an advantage. So can you learn to love those things? Can you learn to love some of your weaknesses? I'm going to show you some really old footage just to prove that once I did actually play rugby. Does anyone know who that is? Hugh Jackman. So before Hugh Jackman was famous, I was playing football. That might age me slightly. I'm normally 12 or 13.
In the crowd of about 95 to 100,000. Josh Cronenberg, second by Holbeck. One. Possession. Warner. And a good run too by Holbeck. Pritchard, and he scores! Great angle from Holbeck, lost his foot. That is a wonderful pass.
In hands. And the Westhuysen almost intercepted though by Hardy. It's play on though. Holbeck. Holbeck streaking away. I thought there was
To it, Gregan. Great hands there. Larkin back to Gregan. Good Gregan. Look at this.
through goes Holbeck. That's a super run from the centre. Now he's looking all around and finding Bond. Gordon was coming. Holbeck's got it again.
Beautiful play. O'Gara just can't handle the man.
Two Regan beats Knox. Holbeck. Clean break. Jameson Little. Go wrong. And it was through the tackle of Spencer. Was James Holbeck.
I'm just trying to bring cool back.
Let's get into it now. The top five Wallabies tries of all time, and it's still the same. This is a restart. 1997, Jimmy Holbeck, right out wide. Aliel, back inside to Bernie Larkin. To Holbeck. Aliel. Blocked again. Yeah, great job. They got beaten by 60.
Get away from these liars, 'cause they don't get your soul or your fire.
Oh, look at that. In that game, I got sin-binned, became the first international player ever sin-binned. The rule came in for that game. I was lucky enough to take the opportunity. I remember walking in a newsagent and opening up a magazine in Sydney. And I looked down and my name jumped out. And I thought, oh, wow, you know, what amazing award have I won here? I looked across. Goose of the Year, 1997. James Holbeck. Imagine walking in and reading that about yourself. And I remember I was filthy on the world and became very bitter. wanting to get back at the referee. It was his fault, wasn't my fault. Then I got dropped. We were on tour, I got dropped over there. Then I got sent home from tour. The coach had come to me and said, mate, I don't want you going out tonight. We're picking the teams and I don't want you going out. Next morning he found me and he said, I heard you were coming home at 6 or 7 a.m. I didn't get picked, I got sent home. First training camp, they realised my shoulder was not good. They operated. The next 5 years, I didn't finish one game. Every time I ran on the field, I got injured. Does anyone imagine what that's like, where your skill, the thing you're meant to be good at, is in some avenue, and all of a sudden you can't even do it anymore? Who do you become then? And that's what I had to work out. But how did I get through it? These are some tips if you go through some tough times that are short. How much of my life does it directly affect? So something happens in rugby and all of a sudden my relationships go bad, my study goes bad, everything goes downhill because I'm so disappointed. I get depressed that I can't do something I love anymore. But I found other things. I started studying. I went back to university to do psychology or science to start with. I took up fishing. I'd always escape. I love escaping into nature and particularly fishing and fly fishing. And I took up guitar. Not quite as up to Matt's standard, but it was just something that I could do on the side where I'm learning, where I'm feeling like I'm achieving something. And it's giving me, I guess, another way of understanding myself, another part of me. How long will it last? Sometimes these things are duration. 4 weeks. Okay, I can do 4 weeks. Go hard. What do I control? I can start to do my rehab. I can start to take responsibility for those things. Just skip that one. The stairs of life. This is the stairs at Lighthouse Beach. This is my goal, to run there from home, run those stairs 10 times, and then run back. I think I've got up to 6, then I went down to 4, then I'm up to 7, then I'm down to 2, up to 6, down to 1. And I guess that's a bit like life, going up and down, up and down. We're trying to get somewhere. We've got a goal in our minds, but sometimes life keeps putting us back through injury, through setbacks, through heartbreak, all those sorts of things. But I remember hearing a quote about a mountaineer, and he said, you just set your mind on one thing. It might be a noob in a rock, it might be a little outbreak. You set your mind on that, you go hard, then you celebrate, and then you go hard again. I remember after I played England, Dad said, what was it like? And I said, been there, done that, what's next? Don't dismiss your achievements. We do that in Australia. We keep dismissing everything. And then when we fall, we don't fall back onto a platform of previous success. We fall back onto nothing. So learn to acknowledge your achievements, not in a way of propping yourself up over others, but understanding a little bit about, I can do things. I can find momentum in life. That was an article written, which is probably one of my greatest moments, the comeback kid. Mind you, I got injured. I got picked for the Wallabies after that, still hadn't finished a game. Played 5 minutes against the British Lions. Got injured in the next training run. The next season did one knee, came back, did my elbow. The next season came back, did my other knee, out for the season. But with every fall, you have an opportunity to be the comeback kid. Because every comeback story has to have a fall first. It's part of life. Doesn't feel nice, but it's part of life. And let's quickly finish on this. Meaningful endurance. The reason that I was able to endure through those times is that I was able to give that pain and suffering some meaning. Rugby for me was everything. I had a goal and I was able to put myself through the pain. Those that are athletes or those that are musicians, there's sacrifice. Those that are academics, there's sacrifice. And you're able to sacrifice and push yourself further than other people because you've given that pain a reason. When you're doing weights and you're hurting, you're doing it because you know you're going to get stronger. Viktor Frankl has this quote, and I think I'm about done. We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men, or the people, I'll turn it into people, to the people who walked the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Stuart Scott applied this, ESPN reporter that died a few years ago. When you die, it does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. That's the challenge that I have for you guys. How do you live your lives? It's your responsibility. Life's calling you out to be better. How do you choose to see life? What do I have, you say? What do I have? I have nothing to give. I remember walking along the street once and this girl smiled at me. Not in any way like that, but just in a welcoming smile. It changed my whole day. You carry something greater than silly words. You have a connection. This connection that we have with other people gives us a sense of meaning. So I challenge you, can you use what life puts you through to make you into a more grounded person, a more humble person, a more giving person? Or are you always needing to take, always needing more, always wanting to be in your comfort zone, like me walking along Dachau? Can you in a moment change your perspective to something more realistic? Thank you very much.